All right, let's get it. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, Philadelphia Eagles training camp preview. We take a look at the top positional battles going into camp, with training camp getting underway on Tuesday. Speaking of that, our coverage is about to be fantastic. We have a high standard that we want to live up to here on Eagles Now, so join the movement. Hit that subscribe button. As you can see here with the figures to my right, we are 312 people away from 123,000 subscribers. What you can expect if you haven't hit that subscribe button, if you're new to the channel, anytime I'm talking Eagles, I want our coverage and our content to be informative, insightful, thought-provoking. I want you to have a voice. And I want you to become a smarter Eagles fan and NFL fan. So if that sounds great and you're a member of the Burr Gang already and you want to be a part of a fantastic Eagles community, lock us in and subscribe today. So Eagles training camp does begin on Tuesday. That's when the entire team is expected to report. Thanks to Howie Roseman, this roster is in a great spot talent-wise, but there are no contract dilemmas that the Eagles are having to worry about either, and the Eagles will officially hit the practice field at the NovaCare Complex on Wednesday. And so with that, with this show, what we're going to accomplish, I want to take a gander at the top positional battles because there are a few that we want to be mindful of heading into training camp. And most of these are going to be on the defensive side of the ball because this offense is locked and loaded going into 2025 under a new offensive coordinator in Kevin Patullo. 10 of 11 starters returned from a team that won the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. But there are still some roster battles that we want to take a look at there. And then on defense, given that Philadelphia is having to replace more than 4,000 snaps lost from last year's Super Bowl team, there are going to be a lot of intriguing battles there. So without further ado, let's first start on the offensive side of the football. That lone starter not returning in 2025, it's at right guard. Mekhi Becton signing that 2-year, $20 million deal to play under Jim Harbaugh with the Los Angeles Chargers to provide protection for Justin Herbert. And so the right guard position is a vacant one going into this year as the Eagles look to defend their Super Bowl championship. And here are the players in the mix at that right guard spot. Leader in the clubhouse who got all of the reps throughout the spring, former third-round pick out of Alabama and Vanderbilt, Tyler Steen. But the Eagles this offseason made a sneaky good move in bringing back Matt Pryor, a former draftee by Philadelphia who had experience and has had experience playing at the NFL level at tackle and guard. He's huge for the guard position. Very tall, thick, just a big dude. I think he's better at the guard position, but he does give Philadelphia positional versatility. Last year with Chicago, he played solid football. Outside of that, you have Kenyon Green, who last year and throughout his career to start it, after being a top 15 pick by the Houston Texans, he was one of the lowest graded players in professional football at left guard last year for Houston. But former first-round pick, a lot of ability. Can Jeff Stoutland bring the best out of him? The issue with Green, he's mostly played at left guard throughout his career. Cameron Williams was an offensive tackle on the right side for a Texas Longhorns team that made a run in the college football playoff, but the Eagles did experiment with playing him at guard throughout the spring. Then there's Laken Vakalahi, who's on this Eagles roster by way of the International Pathway Program, another Aussie who the Eagles brought in. They elected to keep him through the International Pathway Program over Carson Patu, who the Eagles gave a tryout to during rookie minicamp. I actually spoke with Patu, and he said, I got good feedback from the coaches. They didn't have anything negative to say, but they're just keeping Vakalahi over me. So those are the players who I think are firmly in the mix at right guard. Of note, when the Eagles drafted Drew Kendall, they listed him as a center and a guard. He got some work at both positions throughout the spring as well, but I think that he's going to be the backup center behind Cam Jurgens. With Tyler Steen being the leader in the clubhouse, let's look at his numbers according to Pro Football Focus last year. It's been a mixed bag his first 2 years in the NFL. He's played well at moments. He's played very poorly at moments. With the analytics and the sabermetrics, he doesn't grade out well, especially with PFF's numbers. Overall grade last year of 40.6, a pass blocking grade of 37.7, run blocking grade of 50.6. It's not good. 122 snaps at left guard, 173 at right guard. A plus, he can play both guard spots in college. He played tackle, but the Eagles listed him as a guard right when they drafted him in the 3rd round out of Alabama. These numbers might be sketchy and skeptical, right? The positive trend, he didn't give up a sack, he didn't give up a hit, and when he had to step in the NFC Championship game, live bullets flying, pressure was on, I thought he played very well because of the whole Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens injury situation at center and at guard. Steen has ability. He just needs to be more consistent. He is an athletic freak who in the pre-draft earned a 994 relative athletic score from 0 to 10. 6'6", 321 pounds. He's very strong with his upper body. 31 reps of 225 pounds on the bench. A vertical of 29.5. A broad jump of over 9 feet. I don't know what the holdup has been and what the delay in progress has been for him at the NFL level. Was it that he was just used to playing tackle in college, where he played primarily at left tackle, and he didn't play guard, and having to make this switch has been difficult for him? Is it the inconsistencies in his reps? Going into training camp last year, he was looked at as the guy. He got hurt. Mekhi Becton stepped in, never looked back, because Nick Sirianni recommended that Becton get some snaps at right guard. That worked out well for the Eagles. What happens in 2025? I think ultimately Steen does put it together because, again, the ability and the talent is there. Plus, he's got Lane Johnson to his right, Cam Jurgens to his left, and he's being coached by the best offensive line coach in the NFL. And sometimes it does take offensive linemen a little while to develop and fully tap into their skills. And again, had to experiment with the new position. As for Kenyon Green, he was horrific last year for Houston. In case you don't know, he came back to Philadelphia in that C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Of course, the Eagles were going to take a chance on a player who was drafted out of Texas A&M, top 15 not long ago, and is still young and is very affordable, but he has been very, very bad. Like one of the worst guards in the NFL bad. 11 games played last year, 5 sacks, and with how he was graded out, one of the lowest graded overall players in the NFL. And as I mentioned, one of the lowest graded guards in the NFL as well. 6'4", 323. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on him throughout training camp and in the preseason. Can the Eagles maximize him, or was he just a bust and an overreach by Houston in the draft? Matt Pryor, that savvy veteran who has a ton of experience playing all along the offensive line last year with Chicago, graded out pretty well. So pass blocker, a 78.1 grade there. Run blocker, still in the green with the 65.9 grade there. Overall, just under 70. Some of the negatives, gave up 7 sacks and 7 penalties, but that offense was a joke. You had a quarterback back there in Caleb Williams who held onto the ball for so long. The surrounding pieces along that offensive line were really bad too. So right guard, probably the biggest positional battle on offense for Philadelphia entering training camp. The Eagles' offensive line in general, it's in a really good spot. Even if it doesn't work out for Tyler Steen, as noted, a lot of different options there. You could throw Trevor Keegan into the mix. Again, you could throw Drew Kendall into this competition. A lot of players who the Eagles could go with because Howie Roseman has built this roster up in a way where they have incredible depth in the trenches along the offensive line. Camp battle number 2. This isn't for a starting spot because, as I noted, this Eagles offense, pretty set in stone. But backup running back, I think, is a sneaky big battle that not a lot of people are talking about. You have Will Shipley, who the Eagles drafted out of Clemson last year. He's a different player than A.J. Dillon, of course, who's more experienced in entering year 5. For Shipley, he has some juice to his game. We saw it in a small sample size last year. Getaway speed, he's shifty, has pretty good vision, pretty good pass protector, can catch the ball out of the backfield. As a return man, he can contribute there. A.J. Dillon, you know what he brings. He's another member of the big Quads Club, as he's another Quadzilla alongside Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, but he's a thumper. I mean, he's sitting there at 240, 250 pounds, short yardage back. He could be the LeGarrette Blount for this team that we saw back in 2017 if he can stay healthy. But there are injury concerns around him. He did not play at all with the Green Bay Packers in 2024 because of a neck injury. I think Shipley is the better player. I think he's more explosive. I think he's a better RB2 than A.J. Dillon. And I think Shipley, by season's end, will be RB2 as far as getting the most carries. I think A.J. Dillon can make this team. Health is a concern. I think Shipley's just the better player, but I do like the physical nature of Dillon's game and that added element as far as him being a downhill guy in short yardage with what he can bring to this RB room. But he's going to have to earn it. RB3 in general is going to have to earn it. I like Montreal Johnson, the UDFA out of Florida. Shanderick Powell is another really good UDFA. I'm excited to see those two players on the Bullets get flying during game action in the preseason and somewhat in training camp, even though those training camp practices not as physical as they used to be back in the day. Other positional battles here just to watch. You have tight end 2, wide receiver 4 and 5, and then QB 3. And we can run through these depth charts here at each position. I think Grant Calcaterra is going to be the backup tight end behind Dallas Goedert. And tight end 2 is important for this team because Dallas Goedert has been injured so much throughout his career. But in a contract year, hopefully Goedert can stay healthy. When he is healthy, he's a top 10 tight end in the game. Calcaterra is not the blocking tight end that Goedert is, but he's a tall, long strider who is a really gifted pass catcher. And then the Eagles in free agency signed Harrison Bryant. He's been a good red zone player throughout his career. Kylan Granson will remind a lot of people of Trey Burton. Really good blocker. Shorter for a tight end, but he can play. Those players are in the mix for tight end 2, tight end 3. Another question, how many tight ends do the Eagles have on the 53? Because sometimes they've just gone with 2 active and then elevated tight end 3 on the practice squad. And then we continue to take a look at some of these other battles here. In addition to tight end, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. The top 3 receivers are set. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson, who I think has a better year this year because he's more acclimated with this offense. The Eagles of note did draft Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson during the 2024 draft, but look out for Danny Gray, 4.3 speed, and Terrace Marshall, a 4.4 guy at 6'2", 200-plus pounds. Marshall, a former second-rounder, Danny Gray, a former third-rounder, to push Smith and Wilson if Smith and Wilson don't play well. And then QB3, I think ultimately it is going to be Kyle McCord. Better passer, more upside, more potential, more ability. Last year finally put it together, was a very confident player at Syracuse, and with a lesser supporting cast compared to his previous stop at Ohio State, he had a better year. He's one of the most accurate and most productive passers in college football last year. I like DTR as an athlete, an RPO guy. I think his confidence has been shaken a little bit. That's what happens when you go to the Cleveland Browns. But I think the Eagles just go with the 6th-round pick in McCord over DTR, who came back to Philadelphia in that Kenny Pickett trade. Are you enjoying our coverage right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now? If you like our content, I want you to type Real One down in the comments section. And if you like what you're seeing with this video and you haven't subscribed, another reminder, do so right now because of training camp pretty much here. We're really going to ramp things up. We also have great deals to tell you about, like this one. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics, this Eagles cutoff hoodie. You can wear this any time of the year and look good in the process. It's on sale. It was $55. It's been bumped down to just $33. Plenty of sizes available. All you got to do, use that link down below, chatsports.com/Eagles cutoff. That'll take you to the promised land. On defense, outside cornerback, who will start opposite of Quinyon Mitchell on the perimeter? And it's really a 2-horse battle, I think, between Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. I would not sleep on Howie Roseman maybe making a move at the cornerback position if Asante Samuel Jr. gets cleared. Maybe that's a player who the Eagles could bring in NFL free agency. Both Ringo and Adoree Jackson, different players with different backgrounds, of course. Keely Ringo, young, only 23 years old. younger than some players who got drafted in April's NFL draft. 4th-round pick out of Georgia, over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, 4'3". He's long. He's physical. He went back to Georgia for one final year, but if he were to have come out the prior year, Kelee Ringo could have been a first-round pick. I thought as a rookie in 2023, there were some solid moments for him where he played good ball. That was hard to do under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. Last year, he was relegated to more so of a special teamer. The Eagles are hoping that he can take strides in his development as a player. If he can't, you have Adoree Jackson, who for a long time has been a very serviceable cornerback on the outside. A first-round pick in 2017 by the Tennessee Titans. He was a college legend at USC as a corner and as a return man. A lot of people thought he was going to be a star when he was with the Trojans. Has he been a star at the NFL level? Hasn't been a star, but he's been a very solid player for a long time. This was an underrated depth addition by Philadelphia, and I thought what Howie Roseman said about Jackson was pretty interesting. He thinks that he still has some of his best football left to play. We're not talking about a vet who's washed here. Adoree Jackson has played pretty solid ball for the New York Giants the last couple of years, and he could really push Kelee Ringo for that corner job. Wouldn't surprise me if Vic Fangio starts him in week 1 because Ringo has to be a little bit more consistent. Obviously, reps will help him with that. Linebacker 2, alongside Zach Bond. This is mostly a camp battle because of the injury to Nakobe Dean coming off that patellar tendon surgery that he suffered in that wild card round against the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunate for him because he had finally put it together. He looked to be the player who was the best off-ball linebacker in college at Georgia. Great leader. And Nakobe Dean last year alongside Zach Bond played awesome. And I thought that Bond and Dean were one of the top linebacker duos in the NFL. But I think that Dean starts the year on PUP. And Jeremiah Trotter Jr., we talked about this last week with the YouTube short. He's been the Mike linebacker. And Vic Fangio absolutely loves him. He's a student of the game. He works really hard. He's smart, savvy. You could tell that he is a football legend's son. Reads, reacts, right place, right time. Last year made some good plays on special teams. When Trotman Jr. got some reps late last year, when the Eagles were resting some of their top linebackers, and that allowed Trotter Jr. to play more, I thought he played awesome football. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I think, is going to be the week 1 starter next to Zach Bond. But then you have Jihad Campbell. As of this recording, he is not starting training camp on PUP. That's a really good sign. Now, PUP in training camp is different than the regular season. A player can be taken off of that at any time. And we've seen some workout videos from Campbell. He's doing rip moves with both shoulders coming off that labrum surgery this offseason from the pre-draft process. Campbell against Trot. You have a first-round pick against a player who the Eagles moved up to take in the 5th round last year. Another really savvy training camp battle for this Eagles defense here going into camp. And then lastly, safety, who will start alongside Reed Blankenship. Earlier today, we looked at the ESPN projected starting lineup. They have Andrew Makuba. It could be Sidney Brown, Tristan McCullum, Andre Sam, Lewis Seen, also mentioned by Vic Fangio in the spring as players being a part of that safety competition. Our lads, the depth chart website, they have Sidney Brown starting alongside Reed Blankenship. This is wide open here, and whichever player plays best, they're going to lock down that job. Also remember, Julian Blackmon, Justin Simmons, available in free agency still. Also a notable development here today. 2nd-round pick Andrew Makuba, the safety out of Texas, did sign his rookie contract. There were delays in the 2nd-rounder signing their deals because some agents were fighting for fully guaranteed contracts. As of right now, recording this show just after 6 p.m. on Monday, we're not sure what percentage of Makuba's contract is guaranteed, but that deal is done on the eve of training camp. He will be there. There will be no training camp holdout, which is great. It just helps with his player development, and he has a real shot to start for this team. At the Combine, weighed in, measured in at 5'11", 186. At his pro day at Texas, a little bit heavier at 194 pounds. But he plays like a heat-seeking missile. 4.45 speed. He allowed a passer rating when targeted of 12.1 last year. The lowest among all safeties in college football. He's a little bit slighter, plays big against the run. He has incredible instincts and ball skills. 7 pass breakups, 5 interceptions, 0 touchdowns allowed, plays a lot like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. As for Sidney Brown, he's a different player. A lot thicker, a lot more physical. He is a downhill player who is a lot more aggressive. Sometimes his aggressiveness will cause him to over-pursue. It takes him out of place. That can drive Vic Fangio crazy. He doesn't want guys blowing assignments. So you love how Sidney Brown plays because he plays with so much fire, but sometimes it can be a detriment. Also, some other camp battles here. What does defensive tackle 2 look like? Who gets more snaps? Jordan Davis, Moro Ajomo. What is the edge rusher rotation? We know the starters as of now are going to be Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith. What about Azeez Ojulari? What about Josh Uche and Antoine Powell-Ryland? Backup slot corner behind Cooper DeJean. Who locks down that spot? And then who will be the punt and kickoff returners? That's going to be a change from last year, too. The Eagles did sign Avery Williams this offseason. They like him as a gadget guy. He is probably the leader there as of now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. The top position battles for the Eagles going into training camp. That right there is our 2025 Birds Training Camp preview.